In this video, you will find the different crustal features that are created at plate boundaries due to movement in the plate boundaries. There are three types of plate boundaries: divergent, moving away from each other; convergent, moving towards each other; and transform, sliding past each other. Convergent boundaries are formed when two plates come together. Oceanic crust and continental crust can converge to form a trench. Trenches are formed at subduction zones. Oceanic crust and oceanic crust can form, forming underwater trenches. An example of the largest Marianas Trench is the largest trench in the world. Averages about 2,550 kilometers long and 60 kilometers wide. In the Marianas Trench, the deepest portion is Challenger Deep. At this part of the Marianas Trench, it is estimated to be 10,898 kilometers to about 10,916 kilometers. That is the equivalent of a little over than 119 football fields. Continental crust and continental crust converge, and at this point they will form mountains. Divergent boundaries are going to be pulling away from each other. These are in different areas. If it's on land, they are going to form what is called a rift valley. This is an area of land that is in between the two divergent plates and forms a steep valley. If you have divergent boundaries in the ocean, this will form your mid-ocean ridges. The lava will escape through the mid-ocean ridge and form a volcanic area. Transform boundaries are areas where the plates are sliding past each other. The most famous one in the United States is the San Andreas Fault, and this is in California. This fault is moving about 5.5 centimeters per year, and it's right next to the Pacific Plate. The trenches, as we were talking about earlier, form at a convergent boundary. At these convergent boundaries, you have one plate with another plate going underneath the first plate. This will form your trench in the middle. This is a subduction zone where it goes under. Sub means go under. That is your subduction zone. A fault is a fracture or break in the crust. It is usually the site of many earthquakes. San Andreas Fault is one of the most popular one. In Texas, we live near the Balcones Fault line, and these are usually transform boundaries, as you can see in this picture right here. The Ring of Fire is around the Pacific Ocean area, and it's at the Pacific Plate. It's very active with volcanoes and seismic activity. Seismic activity involves many earthquakes and movement of the ground. And this, if you'll notice in this area right here, is right where California is. That is where the San Andreas Fault is, and that's where we have a lot of our seismic activity in the United States, most of our seismic activity. And there are rings of volcanoes in this area, and they are very active. Underwater mountain ranges are formed from divergent boundaries. This is when plates are pulling apart. We have our largest underwater mountain range is the Mid-Oceanic Ridge, and that is found in the Atlantic Ocean. Atlantic Ocean is on the east coast of the United States. When we have mountain ranges on land, these are formed from convergent boundaries. This is where the two plates will come together and will push upon each other. And when that happens, they are going to fold up, as you can see in the cross-section of this picture. They're going to fold up and have different layers. They are pushed together with great amounts of force. All of the mountain range we have in the United States and in the world are still converging upon each other. The Appalachian Mountains are in this photo right here, and you have the Andes Mountains in the other photo. And with these mountains, they have the different rock layers, and you can see the different layers of rock, different types of rock, and different fossils in those layers. A rift zone is when you have two plates that are pulling apart from each other. The two plates will pull apart, and on land, you're going to have a rift valley. It's going to just create, like when you pull your gum apart, it's going to have a dip in it, and it's going to show that land in an area that it's protected by a mountain area. And underwater, you have your mid-oceanic ridge, and that's in the ocean, and the volcanic matter will come up through the middle and will form the ridge on the outside. In the oceanic ridges, they are formed from divergent plate boundaries that are pulling apart. In this area, the asthenospheric convection currents will force the magma to the surface, and this cools. And what this does, it forms these ridges right here on the sides of the area where the volcanic magma is escaping. And here's another diagram, a drawing of where the plates are pulling apart. You can see the arrows here. They're pulling apart, magma's coming up through the middle and making that ridge. Make sure that you filled in all of the blanks on your sheet, and we are going to grade those.